Welcome to Our Friendly Advice, guys. I'm your host, the Crazy Dog Lady, and we are here today with.
This is Minister Ant. How y'all doing?
Coach Rail, how y'all doing?
And today we're going to be talking about courtship versus dating. So, to get started,
Yeah.
you were just on the Shade Room,
Mm.
and you guys were talking about courtship and dating, right?
Yeah.
So, let's start there.
Okay. It was interesting. Um, One, the fact that they even found me was crazy, right?
Okay.
From this video I made about courtship versus dating, which was on the back of me just having conversations over the week, a few teenagers that I disciple, a couple young adults, and it stuck out to me that nobody knows the difference between courting and dating, and I was seeing the effect of it. So all of them was coming out of relationships with broken hearts, insecurity, and not knowing their space and place while they were dating,
Okay.
right? So I was like asking certain questions. Those were never conversations. Y'all never spoke about that. And when they really thought about it, like, nah, it was never a concrete conversation about anything. We just was going off of vibes. So then I'm driving. The thought hit me, and then I made the video. And you look up, that thing had like 500K views and stuff like that. So I think it's gonna hit 1 million at some point. Long story short, the Shade Room inboxed me, and then next thing you know, I was on the Shade Room talking about courting and dating. So that's kind of how that transpired.
Ooh, okay. I didn't know the backstory.
Yeah, that's how it went.
So, that's the new thing with this generation is the vibes. Everybody want to go with the vibes. Did
Right.
anybody talk to you specifically about what courtship is versus dating?
No, nobody talked to me specifically about it. I kind of studied it, like
Okay.
when early in the faith, as I came into the faith, because I saw how it was destroying our communities, which is what I said in
Mm-hmm.
the Shade Room thing, and they was like taken aback by by it, but it's the truth. Like broken homes, blended families, single fathers, single mothers, all stem from just going with vibes, not quite sure where you fit in, and nothing really concrete. I even think the divorce rate is the highest that it's ever been because people just wasn't courting each other. Um, I'm watching people in the faith and out of the faith, they get married in 30 to 45 days. Uh, I'm watching them, they met each other twice, never met the families, but all of a sudden they bringing the families into the household. Like, this is stuff that I'm seeing. And it's also playing into people's singleness. Like, people have PTSD from dating so much so that
Mm.
they much rather be single and now they in a space where they went from the victim to the predator. I was a victim of dating. Now I'm a predator of it because now I don't want to commit to nothing. I don't want to put nothing concrete on anything. And now my singleness is just a trial run of whatever I wanted to make it. And that's what I'm saying out here. So I think it's a much needed, necessary conversation for us to have. So let's have it. Um, so I have a question for y'all. Have y'all, first of all, do y'all know the definition of courtship?
Not definitively.
So
Like,
what does it do? Like, what does that look like?
I mean, my definition is going to come from what I've been hearing you say, though.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, being intentional, like, all across the board. Like, going into it, understanding each person's place and have an expectation for you both as a union.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so while we're dealing with each other, before you brought the term courtship into it, I used to refer to it as exclusive dating,
Mm-hmm.
where two people just, maybe y'all not putting a title on a boyfriend, girlfriend, or anything like that, but you guys are being intentional about giving each other your undivided attention, learning each other, and not letting outside or third parties
Mm-hmm.
interfere with that. What would you say?
I think my understanding of the definition of courtship is, it's extreme intentionality. So, I think we like you're even in your statement of like, being exclusive. I think being exclusive is just simultaneously saying it's just me and you, whereas courtship is understanding the beliefs, where you and how you guys are going to connect future wise. So you're taking what the back end looks
Yep.
like and bringing it to the front.
Yep.
So if you are a believer, all right, do we believe the same?
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing that. What is your understanding of God? And then we're breaking that down.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the next journey would be, understanding one another. What is your psychological beliefs, and then breaking it down like that, and then it's going into the family history. Well, what was your parenting like? What was your home style like? What was it like with your siblings? And then seeing the flaws and seeing if any of those issues that come up will derail a relationship with this person. Whereas I think with is dating is just the extreme of time. So we last an X amount of time, you'll become my girlfriend, you'll become my boyfriend. And then during that plight, however, everyone has their different rules. So that could be 30 days, it could be a year, it could be 6 months. After that, you had no intentionality because you don't know this person. And that's where, like Aunt was saying, if people get married, is like, okay, well, I don't know your beliefs on children. So if a child is born and there's the doctors coming back and saying, well, this child has a 60% chance of it being autistic, and you don't want that as the man, but the woman's like, I'm gonna love that child regardless. Well, y'all shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with, because if you would have talked about it in the very beginning of how y'all see kids and what that looks like, you wouldn't have gotten to that situation. So I was just saying it's extreme measurables.
Okay.
That's a great breakdown. Like, in courtship, you think with the end in mind. So the end in mind is marriage, then that conversation is going to be had very early. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're my wife. It's expectations and standards that's being set from the very beginning. Therefore, I'm going to get there anyway. Are you coming with me?
Right.
So now, even in arguments, even in miscommunications, debates, it sounds different in courtship than it does in dating. In courtship, it's two things that's happening. And here go the difference. When you date, people say, I have to vet this person. And if we're being honest, over the last 10 years, people haven't been doing a good job at vetting anyway. And that's coming from a natural standpoint. But in courtship, not only are you vetting, but you discerning. That's a spiritual thing. I'm looking at this person spiritually and saying, do this person fit? Is they tailor made to the standard and the vision that God laid for me? And then the vetting comes from not just the person that's courting, but the community that's built around both of y'all. Because they could see into the blind spots, which, to Darrell's point, that's where the father will come into play. That's where the grandmother will come into play. That's where the mother will come into play. The siblings will come into play. Because they might see some blind spots that you might not see. But like I said before, and this is a wild, wild west out here with dating. People not even meeting each other's families no more. They just jumping right into situations. And something I said on the Shade Room, again, that they was kind of like taken back by, as if it was the first time they was hearing it. I said, you should know your position in somebody's life before they put you in a position in bed. And dating is humping. It's nonstop.
It's the opposite.
I read this book called The Purity Code one time, and it was written for teenagers, 14 to 16, but I read it as an adult, and it like changed my perspective on certain things. Here's what it said in it. It said that people are more sexually mature than they are mature in any other space. It's dangerous when it comes to dating, because I know how to please you as far as sexually, but I don't know how to please you in no other way. But you asking this person to be in your life for the rest of your life. On what basis? On basis of what? This because they get in sex and then everything else is just up in the air, right? You are literally gambling. Darrell would tell you, just like business, any business that you start, the reason why we put investment on it and the reason why we put time, energy, and effort is return on investment. I want a return on investment on the things that I'm putting my energy in. Dating does not give you a return on your investment. You actually waste money dating. You dating 5 people at a time. What these bills running up? These restaurant bills running up $160 on a good night. You doing that about 3-4 times a week. I'm not good at math, but man, that sounds like a lot of money. Just for you to not know where you stand.
Right.
That just don't make no sense to me.
I think a lot of it plays into people's lack of self-love, lack of self-awareness. Just how people view themselves. It projects in their love life, so to say. So
I agree. I think that dating turns into projection of trauma. People are not dating, they're trauma bonding. just think about the day-to-day conversation that you have with somebody. Like, majority of it is trauma bonding. Listen, because the moment that you start talking about healing, all of a sudden it get a little scarce out here. All of a sudden you become abstinent. It gets scarce out here. You start withholding some things that's supposed to be secure in marriage. All of a sudden, everybody act like they don't understand, right? That in itself would save you. That's courtship. Courtship is basketball, one-on-one. We playing a one-on-one game of basketball, and let's sharpen each other's skills while we doing that. Dating looks like 5-on-5 runs. It looked like 5-on-5, bro. Where it's just everybody, whoever got the rock at the time got the rock and whatever. And it's like you giving people too much access, intentionality. You focus on one person at a time. If you spending your time focused on 3-4 people at a time, how efficient and effective can you actually be? It just, I don't know, man. It's just a much needed conversation that we need to have, and the people that's watching Our Friendly Advice need to have this conversation with whoever they dealing with. Is there intentionality even in how y'all talk to each other? You brought this up before the pod. A woman know how to control her tongue when it comes to her boss, but you're not intentional about controlling your tongue when it comes to your man. Why? It's deeper than intentionality. Now we talking about respect, trust, honor. Like, your boss is giving you a check. Your spouse supposed to be giving you everything else, including financial stability. So that's where it get a little weird for me.
But the word you just used was, you said your spouse is supposed to, but people's spouse ain't always living up to that expectation. So now when it looks like a woman is, she go to work and honor her boss, but not her man, there's probably a reason why. So
There's no reason why.
I was gonna say,
I think people have made, and I think this is the segue of why dating is so destructive. I think people have made up rules with dating. I don't get with a woman because of X, Y, and Z. I get with her in my mind because I rock with you as a person. I've aligned my morals with yours. I understand your mindset. And for richer or for poor, if we was dirt poor, I'd be cuddling with you in a tent. And if we were rich, I'd be cuddling with you in a mansion. I don't change that off of finances. The fact that your relationship, and a lot of girls base their relationship, or a lot of women base their relationship off of financials, that's not a core relationship. Because what if they change? Like, what if, like, the world around us is changing so much since Trump's been in office, right? So let's just play the scenario. What happens if they change money tomorrow and they made it a new format? So everybody that's rich ain't rich no more, because now you have to get this new currency. Let's say it's credit. Everybody, you got to get to 1,000 chips to be a crediteer or whatever. Now what? So you gonna leave the person you with because now you're at the bottom? Because he 2 seconds ago he was worth $100 billion, but today he ain't worth nothing. So it shouldn't be about finances. That you shouldn't answer to someone, or you shouldn't even, your tongue shouldn't be sharp because he's lessened on the finances this month, and now you've got to kick in. It should be, we're in this for the long haul together. And I think if you shape your mind to those characteristics or those traits, you have, like the aunt said, it's going to be the end. Because remember, you said courtship leads to the end goal of us, the long lasting.
right,
Dating seems like it's going to lead to the end.
right.
so
I
good point.
had to collect my thoughts because I agree. I'm not saying I don't agree, but when we talking about vetting, it's like, okay, a lot of women do make relationships and marriage about finances. I can agree to that, but isn't there a part on the man's behalf where, like, he should also be vetting the woman that he's bringing into his life, and in vetting her he should recognize, oh, she just want me for my money.
I think here's the thing, man, and again I said this on the Shade Room too. It's certain things that a man should have when he show up. Like, he should show up with integrity. You shouldn't have to beg for it or ask for it. He should show up like that. But in courtship, that is the standard. And dating is, he got this going for himself, that going for himself. I could fix the rest, like a little project. And in courtship, it's a man already coming with identity. A man already stepping in this thing with purpose. A man already stepping in this thing with intentionality. He already stepping in with it. So here's why a man like that is dangerous, right? Because as a woman, you have no choice but to step up. You got no choice, but if you're gonna stand by side with a man like that, you can't come with insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
That man is 100% sure who he is. Are you? You get what I'm saying? Like, these are certain things in dating. I ain't gotta worry about that. You know, I can just kind of.
I'm gonna ask you as a woman, right? Going off Ant's point, what does vetting look like for you? Like when you sit down and you're like, you're examining and analyzing this person that you want to be with. What are the core foundational principles that you're breaking down to examine if this is going to work or not?
So this is new to me because I wasn't taught to vet the men that I entertain. I wasn't taught even what to look for. Like that's just not something that was talked about to me. So one, I be going off for like Aunt Dad.
All right, so what that look like?
Everything that you're explaining, like
Mhm.
he knows who he is. He knows his identity. He knows his purpose. And he's very quick to, like, if you're not in alignment with that vision, it's like you over there.
Mhm.
So, when I now when I guess date, so to speak, it's like I'm looking for that. Like that man that can't be moved.
Mhm.
That man that is like a man of valor. Like he's 10 toes in who he is and sure of it, you know? So much so that his finances don't define him. What he has on his feet or the amount of money, those things don't define him. He could lose it all today and he's still going to be that same man because he knows who he is. He know he could get it all back.
Mm. So prior to that, how was you picking him in? Based on what?
He
Vibes.
cute.
Oh, so
He got
looks.
money.
He
Yes,
vibes.
it was that. And then
Okay.
you know I shared that I came from that nightlife world.
Mhm.
So especially coming from that, it alters your mind because now it's like the money is the motive. So for a while that's it. It stays in the club, but eventually it becomes a part of your identity. It becomes a part of who you are as a person. It's like, okay, now I'm not interested in no man that don't got this amount of money. I don't. He could be good for me. He could be good for my spirit. All of them things, but when you're in that mentality, you overlook that. I dated a guy who, it's funny, my family was just joking. They brought him up like, oh, where he at? Because my mom always says, like, I think about him all the time. He would have been good for you. And I can't say that I disagree. He was a very good dude, but he was boring to me at that phase in my life because my mindset wasn't in, I need a good man who's going to be a leader, who's going to be, you know, all the things that I'm looking for in a man today or like that I look for in a man. So I overlooked it. And unfortunately, a lot of us do that. We overlook it because that's just not the space that we in.
So like, outside of you, when you actually look at like your friends over the years, and they'll come to you either for advice or they'll whatever that girl talk look like. How did they vet men?
We was all lost. It was the blind leading the blind, if I'm being honest, because you know them conversations come over was like, you know, she meet a dude and he all right, and then she like, oh, you know, we about to go here, come, because his boy, you know, he bring his boy. Now we all like I said, the blind leading the blind. Like you inviting me, you don't even know this man, you don't know what he about, but you inviting me, and like a dummy, I'm following suit. So yeah, it's a whole lot of that still goes on today. That's why, like, I have 3 younger sisters. I have younger female cousins, and I tell them all the time, like, please know your worth.
Okay.
Like that's big for me now. Like when I'm talking to my little sisters, know your worth. And if you feel like you not worthy, or I'm telling you, but you got to know it for yourself. You need to take a step back and start focusing on that, because when you don't see your self-worth and you don't have your self-respect, you just be out here doing anything.
I'm gonna tell y'all like clearly like how I see it. If I was really to sit somebody down like practically and explain courtship and dating to them, I'll tell them like courtship is like clarity, then intimacy, and dating is clarity through intimacy. That's how I would explain it. Cause like if when courtship is there, clarity has to be had in order for it to be sustainable in any measure. Like
Mm-hmm.
you got to set up there's certain parameters and boundaries that got to be had. You got to be able to watch, and both parties have to know like I'm studying you. Like I want you to be clear about that. Like from day one, you are being studied. Some may say you are being tested. Absolutely. Because when you test something, it comes with a refinement process that has to be had. I got to sit and watch you over some time and see like, are you pandering? Right? We
Mm-hmm.
talked about that before the pod. Are you just a pick me because it was some past damages that you dealt with, and now you look up and you look using the safe man just because he's safe,
Mm-hmm.
or the safe woman just because you tired of getting hurt and cheated on or whatever the case may be. It got to be some clarity that's had,
Mm-hmm.
and clarity comes through effective communication. Effective communication at all times. So I don't know how y'all feel about that.
I gotta ask you a question first,
Mm-hmm.
because it kind of trickles off what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be offended, because it's
Go ahead.
um, what's a menstrual like?
Like a menstrual cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know.
You don't know, right? Now, this is the craziest part that I think women. This is what women do. Like I said to you, we talk about this all the time. I've been in a lot of female spaces.
Mm-hmm.
How can a woman tell other women about how men act? That's like me and you talking about a menstrual cycle. Something we've never experienced, no, know nothing about. Only get the feedback off of what y'all say, or the women that we are around, our moms, our sisters, or the girls we date, and see what it's like for them. But we cannot speak on a menstrual cycle. I can tell you the definition, but I can't speak on it. Can't tell you what y'all go through. The way in which girls give each other advice about men in relationships is nutty to me. And it's like everything is leave him. It's never it led to this. And what are your actions? And another thing I see in a lot of female spaces, accountability is not had. But also I find that it all leads back to courtship, right? Because courtship in my eyes is the blanket of a guidebook, right? It's a setup system to help you eliminate the waste from a person to know exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But in dating, none of that is, I don't have to be who I am when I date you.
Mm-hmm.
I can come up, because you're not asking when you go to a job and you go to a corporate job, they're asking questions, deep rooted questions, to see who you are as an individual, to see if you are a good fit. If you're an entry level job, they don't care about who you are. As long as long as they can tell you, as long as you show up on time and you clock in and clock out and they know where you are, they don't care. So that's the difference in the courtship. It's like, who are you as a person? And in dating, it's like, I don't know you as a person. Because a lot of people leave dating and they see somebody doing action and they can't believe, and they're like, I really didn't know that person. I know you didn't know that person because you didn't do anything extensive. And even when like we mentor the boys and stuff like that, and we mentor these girls, some of the questions that we ask are real basic questions for a relationship, and all of them, boys and girls, be like, I don't know.
I have no idea what the check.
What you mean? So
no
you
idea.
so outside of her being pretty,
Yeah, what's there?
What is it? I don't know, bro. You're with her for a year. I don't know. So you own her aesthetics is the only thing carrying this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And you deal with all these things on your heart, the way she talked to you, her attitude, all this. You take it with you because she's aesthetically pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
It has no value, and that's why I think it's hard in the dating pool for a lot of people.
I'll say this. This a hot topic, but this is something to say. Everybody for the last 3-4 years, the number one thing everybody talk about, emotional intelligence, right? You can't even date if you can't court if you don't have emotional intelligence. You got to show up like that. You got to show up knowing like, okay, I did the assessment on myself. Am I emotionally available to take this person on fully? Before you even find yourself putting a level of investment. Courtship also says that as I'm building up clarity, I'm asking myself, should I invest here? Dating, you watch it. People be on 0%, and trying to get over one person with another person. That's the number one thing with a lack of emotional intelligence. You don't even know how to. You're not self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
You don't self-assess. You don't got emotional regulation. None of that is there. So now here's another thing about dating that's dangerous. And we mental health advocates, so we can speak on this. When hurt is like stamped in your life,
Mm-hmm.
you might not feel it until 2 years later. You 2 years later in a whole nother relationship, but this man or woman is the standard in this relationship. So sexually, this person don't please you, but you somewhere thinking about somebody else, the last dude or the last woman that's the standard sexually with this person right here. You somewhere in this relationship saying, yo, that last person ain't argue with me like that. There's still some hurt and some pain there. In the dating pool, and that's why everybody say the same thing. The dating pool has piss in it. Why? Because nobody know how to clean themselves. Nobody got the hygiene or the maintenance in order to keep up with themselves. Nobody know how to pull themselves out of the pool and say, yo, maybe I should sit this one out. Courtship, you got to do the work before you show up. Because if you're courting somebody that's of value, they're gonna point your flaws out. Like what's that light, that black light that's showing people?
Yeah,
It's the black
black
light
light.
that was on Cheaters. You listen, you might not catch everything, but when you put that black light to the bed, you start seeing the stuff a natural eye can't see. That's what discernment and courtship look like. You start looking and you going, yo, I know they ain't spot this, but here go right here, yo, explain that to me. Now it's like, God start putting, a community around you where you might say something casually about somebody that you court, and we'll slow you down and go, yo, that was weird. Repeat that again. He said what?
Because you listen
Because
different.
it's because love. I don't love him. I don't love the girl that you courting. So I'm listening from a different set of ears. Like, and I love you enough to correct you, but still not be biased to your standard. So if you bring me something and I'm part of your community, I'ma listen straight fair down the line and go, yeah, bro, you was out of pocket right here. Yeah, no, that ain't it. What you mean? You accepted that? Let me remind you of something. 3 years ago, you left somebody for something way less than what you accepted in this right here. Why? Because dating comes with exhaustion. People are exhausted, but at the core of it, dog, at the core of dating, the reason why it's terrible right now, is not the fact that people are serial dating, but if you really get to the mental health under it, people are afraid to be alone.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really loneliness.
Yeah.
I don't know how to be alone.
Piece.
You know what exposed that? The pandemic. It was forced to be alone. So now at that point, suicide rate went up. Homicide rate, people went crazy in the pandemic because they don't know how to sit with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So now you start entertaining people while dating because you're bored. You look up, now you got 3 more sexual partners and you ain't like none of them. Like, this is what's happening in dating. And then now you taking on sexual partners that you didn't vet. You taking on sexual partners where your discernment did not kick in. You know what that come with? Complications and consequences. STDs, highest that has ever been. It's over 62% in all the major cities, including Philadelphia that we currently in right now. Houston, LA. This is what's happening.
It's higher there.
It might.
It's higher in Atlanta,
Philly might be
Houston,
it's high. It's super
LA.
high. So now you're not vetting who you're having sex with. You're not vetting who you're emotionally connecting with. You're not vetting if they spiritually mature enough to handle you. You're not vetting their family. You're not vetting their background. You're not vetting nothing. Just to say you got somebody.
Because dating allows you to keep it to yourself. Everything about dating is keeping it to yourself. If I don't have to adhere to anybody inside dating, right? When you date someone, the rules are, like we just said earlier, the rules are made up as it goes along. So I'm protecting like even in common sense, right? You would want, like, me and you were together. I'd want Ant to vet you. I'd want him to see. I'm like, bro, what you see? I want you to meet my line brothers. And then they tell me, oh, she seems nice, or she seems this, or when you really wasn't peeping this when we were sitting at the dinner table, shorty was eyeing me, right? You got to get out your feelings when you're with someone, because that allows you to see the full scope. But when you're dating, you get to make up the rules as you go along. There's nothing, you're not adhering to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of what people want. Because I don't have to go back and face myself. Because dating Ant, oh, you gotta face yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about yourself, and you're going to hear it.
Yeah.
And if you can't handle that, then we're not going to work. And the same vice versa. You should be able to tell me about me. But that's the thing. I've heard people in a relationship. I'll even use myself. I was talking to a girl, and she said to me, "You can't tell me about me. So why am I talking to you? What you mean I can't tell you about you?
Yeah.
You don't know me. You can't. But I'm telling you what I'm seeing." And you're like, "No, that's not good." So you want to be with me. You asking me when I'm going to make you my girl, but I can't tell you about yourself. And then I sat in the same car with her and her line sister, who she told me beforehand. She was like, "Oh, this girl really knows me. We're really close." And so they got into a situation where she had said, "Yo, this is a quality I feel that you have." And it wasn't a flattering one. And she said, "You don't know me." So her response instantly when she hears bad things is, "You don't know me. You can't tell me about myself. I can't be with somebody that's like that."
You want to know something in dating that bothers me? When people say that stuff like that, like, that's not your business. I'm talking to you every day. We are emotionally connected every single day. If it gets to that point, we telling each other we love each other, and I hope we like each other. So what you mean is not none of my business. This is what I mean by the Wild Wild West, making up rules. You want to know, and watch how it transforms over time, right? At some point, polygamy was looked at as the worst thing in the world, right? Because people got so used to getting cheated on in dating, they now say it transformed. It went to, oh, I don't want, he could cheat as long as he got everything else in order. And then it went from he could cheat as long as he got everything else in order to I don't mind taking on another girl in a relationship.
A whole nother energy.
The whole might as well bring it all in the house, right? This has happened and transformed over time. Why? Because the courtship ain't where it need to be. If a man showing up with no self-control, then that's an issue. Where is that at in Proverbs? Where it says a man without self-control is like a city without walls, letting anybody in and out. Like,
so you made a good point though, that I agree with. And I feel like I've experienced it personally, where you said people don't like to be alone, and that's where a lot of this come from. I feel like, yeah, like even with the polygamy thing, like people are settling for anything just so that they don't have to be alone. But that comes from, that loneliness stems from something, whether it be neglect, abandonment, you know. And I feel like for a lot of girls, especially Black girls, you see it a lot when there's an absent father. I think, who was here? Harvey.
Yep.
Our last show, Harvey had mentioned, because he's a young Black educator, and he said he could look at a student and he could tell if there's brokenness in the home. He can identify when a boy is being raised without a father, or a male presence is lacking in a young girl's home. He can identify that. So, as y'all two being Black men, y'all not fathers yet, but if y'all were, what would, because there's a lot of girls out there that they don't I don't even sometimes know what it looks like to like when you're in that lonely space and you're just taking on anything. What it like from a, like, if you was a father, what would you tell a little girl that you ran into that was living that way?
I'm gonna give you pushback on one of the things of alone though, because I don't just think it's about being alone. I think it's I don't think relationships in today's dating pool has the same merit that it had back in the day. I don't think girls cherish relationships. That's why I think we can move. I think girls are idolizing what certain men are capable of, and are putting that ahead of a long-term committed relationship. So it doesn't necessarily just have to be the feeling of being alone. It's how you value men.
But how can you cherish something that you was never taught the value in? So if I'm raised by a single mom, or, you know, I'm raised, you know, with no father in the house, and, you know, maybe men coming in and out because mom don't know how to be alone. I'm growing up watching this. My mom don't even value relationships. There's nobody around me that's in a healthy, happy marriage. How can I cherish something I don't even know what it is?
That's what I meant earlier, where I said, like, when the dating pool got pissed in it, we have to be self-aware to pull ourselves out and sit this one out, right? if we talking about like loneliness and we talking about like the advice we would give a little girl for loneliness, I think the first thing that gotta be understood is your identity is not what you see. That's the first thing we gotta address, right? When you talking to anybody that's younger, again, mental health, you deal with their brain function. I literally just was having this conversation with somebody too. You have to, the younger they are, the more you have to pour into them positive feedback, and you have to start to structure the framework around their imagination, right? You have to talk to that little girl in a way to say, you are bigger than what you see around you. You are bigger than this city. You are bigger than your family. That has to be said from the very beginning. Because the reason why the loneliness start to kick in is because you look up and that same little girl now turned into a teenager, then turned to a woman who had all these big dreams and aspirations, but couldn't see it. Nobody around her supported her. Nobody around her, made sure she was okay. But then this man shows up, and you know what he playing on? Manipulation. What he playing on? Her imagination.
Mm-hmm.
You show up, I got a pocket full of money. Or I might be a producer. You might want to sing, and I might be a producer. I'm playing on your vulnerability. I'm playing on your loneliness at that point, and saying all them dreams and aspirations that you put down because you thought that your environment ain't. I'm bigger than the environment. Come on, come this way. Let me show you something. Now, this girl thinks she about to get a hit record, and maybe to his merit, maybe he has made some hit records. But he looking at her like a piece of meat. Cassie made one song. Diddy scooped her right up and was abusing her for years. He played on her vulnerability. He played on her imagination. But here with the difference though. I think when you're dealing with, and this is the difference between dating and courting. Courtship, I would like to is a kingdom and a Christian principle. So now you're dealing with a woman of God. Here's the difference between what I'm saying as far as that girl and a girl that you're supposed to invest in, both from like a spiritual standpoint and like a worldly standpoint. Make sure that she's okay. Yeah, you build up her imagination, but you also give her revelation. Wow, that's happening. Revelation is insight, wisdom of God. So you praying for her intentionally for the loneliness to never kick in, to then trick her out her spot and allowing God to handle that situation while also being a vessel being used and saying, all right, let me intentionally pour into her. Instead of telling her to shut up because she talk all the time, as her father, I will go, let me put her in some public speaking classes, or let me put her somewhere where her energy could be channeled rather than shut down. And let me model this behavior as her father so she can know exactly what courtship look like. Because a father can court the daughter. Like he can model it.
Yeah.
So as he modeling it, now you setting a standard to where any man can't just come to her and impress her. Actually, she should be unimpressed by majority of these men that's out here because they not coming with intentionality. They not stepping in with conversations. You know what the daughter gonna say? My dad told me that. I heard this before. I need something else. What else you got? And you know what that then does? That plays on a man ego. Because if a man has nothing else to offer but his money, he got nothing else to offer but clout or
he's exposed.
now he's exposed. And now you know what's gonna come out after that? Because he's emotionally unavailable, emotionally immature, his ego was turned into rage. And if I got a dad, I'm not worrying about that either. You play with me too much. You play with my daughter too much. You know how this about to go.
Yeah.
It's a built-in protection from a natural standpoint. It's a built-in protection from your daughter understanding like, yo, mentally, I heard this before. My dad showed me this before. A pocket full of money. I got a what's that called? A trust fund. That 25,000 that you just pulled out your pocket, I got about 100,000 in the bank, and I got escrow somewhere else. My dad was taking care of me since I was 6. This ain't about nothing. That little Range Rover that you pulled up in, yeah, my dad got a Bugatti in the joint. Like this goes into. But when back to your point, when a single mother is there and the dad is absent, that strips all of that. You can't tell your daughter about a man because you don't know what the man is thinking because you're not wired the same way he wired. So now, in the same way as the single mom was manipulated, because ain't no single mom, ain't no mother just had sex with somebody, had a baby, and just thought to herself, we ain't gonna make this work. I think people love nuclear families. Like they love mom, dad. Like that's just ideal. And I think people think that way. So any woman or man that say, I just wanted to be alone my whole life anyway and just have a kid, it's some trauma there. Like a man is necessary in that space. Just like a woman. Like a woman is rare, but like a single father, it's certain nurturing things that a woman can do that a man can't do that should be able to pour into the son and say, no, it's okay to cry. You just don't have emotional idolatry. Never allow your emotions to take control of you, but your emotions is necessary. Learn how to process them, son. And let me comfort you as you cry. A mom hugging a son is different from a dad telling him, stop, shut up. You know what I mean? So all of that stuff is necessary, which plays in the courting and dating as well.
So a lot of men nowadays, right? Because my mind is thinking, okay, so this is where we're at with it. It's piss in the dating pool. We got trauma bonds. We got, everybody dealing with all these, different issues stemming from relationships. So we're here with it now. We could talk about it all day, but like, where do we go from here? That's where my mind is at.
Actionable steps. That's what you're asking?
Yeah, because it's like, we could talk about this, but there's still a young girl out there who has no guidance. There's still a young boy out there who has no guidance. And it's unfortunate, but our friendly advice ain't going to reach everybody. As much as we would love it to, it's not going to. So it's like, what do we do from here? And then I see a lot of, and it even happened in my own life. My dad was an amazing father, but as I get older, I realized that he was more of a, he was present. He was a protector. He was a provider. But in terms of how to deal with men, understanding how men think, that's how I feel like I was, tricked into all of this because I lacked that knowledge. And while anybody who knows my dad would say he was an amazing father, he took care of his kids, it's like there was still something that he dropped the ball on. And as a result, when he wasn't here to protect me anymore, because I believe strongly if my dad was alive, half of the things that I did, half of the people I dealt with, half of the things I got into, it would have never happened. It would have never happened because he was here. But what happens when they're not here? And it's a lot of fathers that live that way now. And I tell fathers nowadays, like, don't give your kids everything. Make them work for it. Like, put value on it. Now it's like when I pay my daughter to do certain things. She has a chore. She lets her dogs out. She feeds them. She get paid. When she go asking me for unnecessary things, it's like, I'm not spending my money on that. My job is to give you your necessities. You got money. So now I'm putting a value on things where now everything ain't just going to be handed to you. Some things you're going to have to work for. And when you work for it, you're going to see the value of $1. People are not teaching their kids that. If I was in school, if I was a high schooler in today's society, I would not want to be that. Because they fit be costing more than my rent sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right here in Philly, it was a big thing a couple years ago when I think it was Saul who got like the camel for the prom. Like, we doing that.
They go all
we
out.
Doing that. But then when y'all talking to these young people about dating and courtship, they looking at y'all like y'all got 5 heads.
But you know what you're saying that's very important? Lifestyle marketing. The reason why they feel like I need these flashy things in order to feel value is because they see it. Remember I told you it. We have to teach them early that you're bigger than what you actually see. If all I see is, I got to be flashy, I got to get to some money, I got to pull up in the camel, I got to do this, all this for prom, I got to pull up in the newest car, then at some point, right, like our lifestyle has to mirror it and start to like combat it, right? So we got to say, listen, the reason why you bigger than your imagination is because one day this was going to happen. So we got to give them both sides of the coin, and then point to it, situations around them, allow them to see what happens when courtship don't take place. Look around you. Look at the norm around you. How did this become normal? Did y'all know at one point this wasn't normal? Did you know at one point it wasn't that long ago? You go back to the 50s and the 40s and the 30s. People was married by what?
Well, you know how they combat that now, right?
Uh,
Because I say that too.
mm-hmm.
Like back in the day, like men took care of their families. Mom stayed home. They took care of the home, their kids. And then people would combat that with, but he also had families outside of his home, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so that, which is true.
Well, that is a true thing. That is a true
And while
thing.
I don't want to be a single mom, I don't want that either.
Right. No.
So it's like,
So you want to know the issue that I have? The first thing I thought of,
mm-hmm.
man, who vetted that? Who you take that back to? You start talking to somebody, the first thing you should do is, yo, before I internalize what main man just said, let me phone a friend. Let me call Rel. Even this sound amazing. Yo, Rel, this is what I just heard. Boom, boom, boom. What you think about that? And you want to know something else, man? Because my mind roaming now. You want to know why why that's not the norm, where you can't call Rel and say, yo, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Because in dating, nobody know how to be platonic friends. That's the issue too. You start looking up and you be like, you attractive, I'm attractive. All right, well then, what we waiting on? What we doing?
I just got done saying this.
This is in dating. You just why? Because there's nothing else. If all I know, back to the purity code book. If all I know is the only area in life that I am sure of myself in is sexually, then it's impossible for me to look at a woman and go, we could just be friends.
Right.
I'm gonna go back to your point on your first question. My honest answer to what I would tell, well, before what I would tell a daughter, is I don't believe parents do a good job of setting their kids up for success. Um, I believe, I was telling Anthus, I believe a lot of human beings have a godlike complex. So they live their life out with the expectancy of what they have going on is going to be the true thing. So when I have a kid, the first thing I'm doing is establishing a network that if I wasn't here tomorrow, I can bank on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where people go wrong. People are just like, all right, the only first step is to get a girl or get a guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're gonna have this kid. Mm-hmm. Okay, but what happens if you two don't exist anymore? Mm-hmm. Is that kid going right to the foster system? Is it going to go to the grandparents? Do you know that the grandparents are going to take care of it? Do you know the weakness of your grandmother and grandfather? Okay, if you know that they're not educational based, do you have something set up so if they were to falter or be the ones in place, are you able to execute that? I think like I said, I think parents don't think things out with their kids. Me being a part of that myself, I don't think my life was fleshed out, and I don't think people understand. I don't think people understand the merits of a relationship. So I definitely know you don't know the merits of parenting. Mm-hmm. If you can't foster a great relationship, right? How do you foster a great child? So that's the first step,
Yep.
which goes back to the main conversation of courtship. Where do kids? What does your future kids' life look like? Right? I hear a lot of these nuanced conversations with, oh well, especially in the Black community, they can be whatever they want to be. No, they can't. In the Asian community, it doesn't work like that. In the Indian community, it doesn't work like that. We are going to set up a system where it filters around, where they're most likely going to be good at math. Then from math, we see where their strong suits are. Are they going to be in the doctor field? Are they going to be a financier? What are they going to be in the finance field? Whatever that looks like. We don't do that. We just leave it up. Even with even with some of our like biggest and brightest intellectual kids, there's still no plan for them. It's like, oh, they'll go off to college and they'll do something amazing. Mm-hmm. But what's the system behind it?
I was just having this conversation with somebody. She had asked me advice about her son. Mm-hmm. Like, yo, he 5 years old. He a ball of no, he probably 6. He a ball of energy. Yo, I don't know what to do with him. He like to fight, right? So I was like, when you think about needs in the world, like just needs, not wants but needs. You think about shelter. You think about survival. You think about finances. Those things. I said, here's what you should do with your son. One, you should get him in boxing. The reason why he need to be in boxing is because he need to channel his energy. Boxing also come with discipline. It teach you health, and it teach you just how to handle yourself, and it teach you how to think.
Right.
That's one. Two, your son should get in swimming lessons. You don't know how to swim. Your dad don't know how to swim. which then alter your ability to even travel and go on vacation because it stopped you from doing certain activities. You couldn't really fulfill life, and y'all scripture believing people. So y'all know the flood came in Genesis. If the flood was to come today, how would you save? Or if your son was to fall into the water, that's another thing. Teach him how to swim. And the last thing you need to do is put him in some type of financial courses. Right now, like at 6 years old, he need to have allowance set up, and he need to learn how to save money, because at some point, these are things where his brain is learning to be wired by. So when he get older and he got $200 in his bank account, not only is he thinking about the $200, he thinking about how can I flip this, and also what can I do with the rest of the money long term. Here's the thing about parenting. To your point, do you want to know why I ain't got no kids? Because all my life I've been thinking about the kid I don't have. That's why I don't got kids.
I almost got up and shook your hand.
That's literally why I don't got kids.
Facts.
There's nothing in my life that like, I'm not selfish. So I think for the kid that I don't got.
And y'all know why I got a kid? Trauma. I was in such a dark space
that you needed somebody else.
I looked at my daughter's dad and I told him, I said, I want to have a baby. He said, a baby for what? So I need to give myself a reason to live. And we had a baby.
And at that point, going dating versus courtship, right? If he had your best interest at heart, that conversation wouldn't have been dating aspect. I got to fulfill her and give her what she wants to make her give her a reason.
That's good.
The courtship aspect would have been, we need to go handle your mental.
Yes.
So that our relationship, our relationship could be fruitful. But since he's dating himself, he's like, all right, whatever she need. He cared about you. He just cared about you in the wrong way.
Yeah.
If he, instead of impregnating you, he should have been like, because the first thing is, right, that I would have thought would have been like, okay, if I give you this kid and things go sour, then what? So you get the kid, let's say you get a miscarriage, or the kid is born and dies. I instantaneously know then you're taking your life. If you couldn't handle life without the kid and the purpose for life was the kid and the kid perishes, you gone.
Right.
So where he at now?
What?
Where he at now?
Last I checked, Marietta, Georgia.
That's just not, there go my issue. So my issue is, yes, man, that's a perfect point that you just made, bro. If this was somebody that you was courting, he would have deaded that conversation right then and there and said, hey, yo, let's take care of this mental stuff. Because the kid is not going
yeah, but that's them trauma bonds that we talking about.
Yes.
Because now, looking back, he told me his home life. I didn't see it. Because his mom lived in another state, things like that. But he told me, like, his relationship with his dad. And then I seen it. Like, kind of.
So he was mature enough to nut in you and have a kid, but he wasn't mature enough to stick around. That's why dating is wild to me.
Yeah. And you know what's even wilder to me? And I promise I'm not making no judgments. But it's just, it's wild to me that how women become single moms multiple times. And what's wilder to me, it makes more sense to be a single mom to 3 different kids by 3 different men than to be a single mom to 3 kids by the same man.
He manipulated you 3 times.
That's wild. At least the one who got 3 baby dads, she tried something different. Like, you just keep falling for his okey
So now look, tell me if I'm wrong on this. Now, when you got guys that's walking around that been thinking about kids that they ain't even have, and now you locked in with a single mom, what type of great arrogance aside, how grateful should she be for you?
I want to hear the answer.
Because your discernment not about to kick in with me.
But I don't think. But this is the difference when you shift the mindset, though. Like, I really don't think, because I see it on the internet all the time, in little short TikTok videos or reels on YouTube or Instagram, where like single moms don't understand that being a single mom is a step down, because the man, when you're going a kid, I don't even think people understand the energy of a child. You gotta understand that kid is first. So anybody that gets with you is second place. Automatically. So you got to look at it as like, if you're a good mom, right? he knows automatically he is second place. He's second tier. That relationship, I will never be first. When like, and he has to be willing and accepting of that role.
Yep.
And that's how you have. And that in the
Yep.
courtship and dating, there's a difference. In dating, I'm gonna be real. It's easier to hit single moms.
Yes, it is.
Because all I have to do is play a position and act like I like kids and I can be a good dad.
And never meet the kid.
And she's like, this is an opportunity for me. I'm going to take it. Versus in courtship, if he's a real good guy, right? He's going to let you know, I don't deal with that. Or I understand the terms that it comes with to date a single mother. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with not being first.
So answer the question, how grateful should she be?
I mean, in the analogy of like kissing King's feet, I would put it that way.
How grateful should she be?
I feel the same way.
This dude is willing to
It should be a high level of gratitude.
Yeah, you got to think about it. Like this is the plight of a man. My girl had the exact situation we're talking about. I understand that if something were to happen, I have now put myself in a predicament where this kid is in jeopardy. I have to put my life on the line. And when I leave this earth, right, I don't have any of my own biological kids. So I'm leaving. I died for someone outside of my lineage.
Think about how heavy that is.
That's crazy. That's a big responsibility that I don't think women understand. And this is the next part of that situation is she's going to be with somebody else. So I essentially died for
I don't like y'all.
Yo, but you gotta understand the kid is like we're so backwards that even campaigning for dating single moms is a crazy concept because the kid should be the kid is the cherry on top of the relationship. Our relationship got to a place where we were in a place inside our relationship and in life that we wanted to bring another person into the world from us. That's the cherry on top. Our relationship is going so well that we believe we can pass our knowledge, lineage, and genetics to a child and have them be fruitful in the world. Whereas backwards, we have women with signs like take me, and you've got all this. Everybody comes with baggage, but you now are coming with another life that has its own baggage. And on top of that too, the kid looks at you as an adversary. It may take that some kids shorter than others. Some kids it may take 6 days, 6 months. Some kids it may be their whole life.
It might be their whole.
Where they look at you as like you're not my dad, and you're the reason why my parents aren't together.
I'm definitely a byproduct of that. Real rap. You want to know something? Like every single mom, there's no lie, and all y'all that's watching this, y'all know I'm telling the truth. Every single mom I sat down and had a conversation with, and said, would you want your kid to be like the dad? You know what they said? No. So if your kid grow up that has 50% genetics of the dude that you don't care for, and let's say the genetics lean in that direction where the traits and all that turn out like main man, you telling me you can't hate the dad and love this kid unconditionally when they got the same traits?
My family told me that from my aspect of one of the reasons my family told me that my mother, my biological mother, stayed away from me is because I remind her so much of him. You know what I'm saying? So to go off your point, that's a real thing. Like you got to think about.
I know it's a real thing. I just haven't experienced it, and I don't think I will because I guess I did what a lot of people don't do, and I took a step back. I reflected on the situation, and I take full accountability for the role I played. Well, I always say, like, nothing justifies you not being there for your children. But there's always two sides to a story, right? And I don't hate my daughter's dad. I really don't. I don't hate him. Because with everything I've been through in life, it's like people go through stuff, and we all handle it different. And in handling it different, I know because of experience, everybody, it's not even that we don't know how, like, what am I trying to say? We wasn't taught. So, like, if your dad wasn't there for you, how you going to be a dad? Like, and then it's just, I just pray different. Like should he? My prayer is that he just grow up. And if you're not going to contribute, and I've told him that before, like I don't need nothing from you. Just be present. Just be present. But on the flip side of things, if I'm being honest, I don't think my daughter dad could stand me so much that he'd rather just not be there with his child.
So now we're talking about two separate things. We're talking about presence versus an investment. If I was never invested fully while dating, why would I be present for the kid?
Because that's your kid.
That's what people assume.
Right.
People assume
right.
that's an
But
assumption.
That's not how it goes.
That's
right?
not how clearly that's not how it goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what I mean by courtship. That conversation is had before we even touch each other. Before we lay down and touch each other. Hey yo, do you see yourself long term in this joint? And what that actually look like? If worse come to worse, we lay down, we have a kid. Because you got to think in your head. If I have a son, would I want my son to turn out like the dad? I hope the answer is yes. If that answer is no, why you let him nut in you?
I'm gonna take it a step further. You know how many girls I done pissed off with this conversation? I know Aunt's gonna be like, yes, automatically. This is what I hear a lot. That's with a female. I love you. And my question would always be, why? And instantly they would be triggered to get mad. I don't know. I just do. Is that not enough?
No, it's not enough.
Are you crazy? What?
You're like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? I love you. What? First of all, why are you telling me that?
I can understand because I'm with you on that one. I'd be like, why? What you love about me?
And they can't and they can't break it down because it's a feeling, but it's a feeling. It could be a feeling of comfortability that I made you feel comfortable. That don't mean you love me. So and especially too, let's say you do love me, and now in a short amount of time, this is another weird thing people do. They put you on their clock.
Oh man!
So you done told me you love me, and 2 weeks later, I still haven't said it back to you, and you looking at me like, so you just don't love me back?
Yeah.
So hold on, because you said it, that means I gotta say it. You can't even describe to me what you're feeling, and I gotta tell you what my definition of love is completely different than yours. And on top of that, we can't even judge it because you can't tell me what it is. You just know that you have a feeling, and it's such a burden for me to ask you this question because now it's pissing you off because you feel as though I'm questioning you as the person and you don't know what love is.
So look, with courtship, right? Like back to the point that I made earlier in dating, when somebody say that's none of my business, how can you then expect them to update you on their changes that they have made based on their desires, internal, how they think, because it's not your business. So now if it's none of my business, you already creating separation from the rip because it's none of my business. So if that's not my business, now you open up a can of worms. What else not my business?
Well, that's because, like you said, like people are in these situations for all the wrong reasons. Whether they don't want to be lonely, whether it's financial benefit or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's how you're going to come if you're in a relationship you don't want to be
even with courtship financially. If we plan on getting married, even your finances is my business.
You know what?
Because if I got a 750 credit score and your joint is 430, we got to talk about this before I start intertwining finances. These things, this is what I'm talking about. Because now look, you get married, right? You get married. You don't talk about finances at all. You get married. Now y'all gonna go down. What's the next step? Home. Buy a house. You're gonna go buy a house. You look up, you like, oh damn, my joint straight. Shorty, why you ain't tell me you ain't got no money? Like, so you ain't got no, so I gotta pay for the closing costs. Yo, we should have discussed it. And this is all, it sounds tedious, but these things have to be discussed. Again, even from a parental standpoint. Okay, let's say you're gonna be a stay-at-home mom. I'm at work. I have to know how you think through and through because you're the one that's raising our kids. Are you sneaky enough to say, don't tell your dad this? It's certain stuff you got to pick up on. Like, because if it's dad, guess what you creating? Division in the household. I can only tell dad the serious things. But when it comes to mom, she a little bit more fun, a little bit more understanding.
Yeah, y'all not.
Now you look up as the dad and you like, yo, why you ain't tell me that? I don't know. Because you don't want to tell on mom.
Now you lying.
Like your mom. This is what I mean. This is what I mean by.
I got a question. How many? How many times that your girls come to you in a relationship, like a relationship question, then and said, "I'm not happy. What should I do?"
I heard it a couple
A
times.
couple times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that a relationship is a job,
Mm-hmm.
and happiness is not achievable in itself. If you're with somebody to because they make you happy, right? That's what a lot of people. Oh, he just makes me happy. Okay, well, what happens when he doesn't make you happy?
Mm-hmm.
That should be the next question following up. But it's never not. It's like, oh, girl, do that. I'm happy for you. But the relationship is based on duty. Ant said something great. He said it might be tedious. A relationship is tedious. Not only do I have should you have a set criteria based list of what you have to do inside the relationship, it should be that list should be forever growing. Meanwhile, I still am supposed to be doing what was at the top of the list when we got together. Some things may alter out, right? Like in the beginning of the relationship for the first 10 years, dating may be really prominent for you. You may be like, you gotta let me know that we're going on dates because it lets me know that I'm worthwhile to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
10 years later, you could be like, babe, you've invested so much in this relationship. Let's save that money and put it towards the kids. So that may go now to the bottom of the list.
Mm-hmm.
But something new came in the list because now we're gonna financially save for our kids. So now that's going to be the list should always go on, but dating didn't go away. It's just not as prominent. You know what I'm saying? So the list should be growing and is forever growing, and you should be changing because we always change. But this happiness is a fleeting emotion. You are happy this morning. You may be mad at lunchtime, and then by the dinner time, you may be happy again. That's going to be like a roller coaster of a relationship. So these girls or women that predicate happiness to be something that's prominent in a relationship is crazy to me. I don't date for happiness.
You want to know something?
Yeah.
You want to know something in dating that like I just can't stand when somebody keep tally marks on who say good morning and good night.
Oh yeah, that's too
Yo,
much. That's too much.
it's certain things. Cause look,
People do that.
Yes, and it also lets you know where your mindset's at.
yes.
If you got time to say, well, 2 days ago I said good morning, and yesterday I said good morning, and it's
I
the
hope
third
nobody
day, and
deal
you
with
still
every
ain't say
day.
good
And then
morning.
deliberately, right? Like the fourth day, don't say nothing and just wait and
Wait
see
for you to. Yo, I had that
So it's like a tit
situation.
for tat thing.
Yo, I had this
Yeah, I'm
situation.
done here.
I said, "Are you alive?" They was like, "I was just waiting on you to text me because it seems like it's just a me thing every morning."
Yeah, we
like,
done.
are you never? Do you never want me to have a good morning?
Yeah, we done here.
Do you even want to talk to me? Yo,
Yeah, I don't got time for that. Cause some mornings I just roll out of bed and I get right to it. I don't even look. Listen.
it's a tit for
We
tat
too
thing.
grown
And
for
look,
that.
this is what courtship. Back to that. Expectations. Expectations gotta be laid out. Like I expect to hear from you every day. But what does that mean? How? You expect to hear from me? What? 15-minute check-ins?
Yeah,
Because some girls that needy.
Well, I'm like that. I know. Like
you-
you're not gonna go all day. Like you don't gotta text me good morning. I understand. Like, but you're not gonna go all day. Like if lunchtime come and go, and it's still no, hey, how's your day? Like you okay? Like I could have not woke up this morning, and you still wouldn't have known because you know what I'm saying. So it's just like little stuff like that. I feel like it's important just to let your person know, like I'm thinking about you.
You want to know something else that popped up in my head and actually reminded me of Tory Lane's situation and Megan Thee Stallion.
Tory always get brought
Yeah,
up.
it actually reminded me of that. And then what's the dude she was with at the time?
Part.
I don't know.
I forget his
can't tell
name.
you.
But I'm gonna tell you why that popped up in my head. If you don't really truly know who you with in courtship and which is intentional about getting to know their character, then you don't know how to defend them. Imagine I'm the boyfriend of Megan Thee Stallion, right?
Mm-hmm.
She go have an interview with Gail, her name Gail King, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she like, I didn't have sex with Tory. I'm thinking you telling the truth because in our relationship you seem pretty honest. We look up, they pulled a discovery. Not only did you have sex with Tory,
Yes, sex.
you know what I'm saying?
Bunch
In court, this has to come out because you got to tell somebody the person have to know what they're dealing with. As a man, you are putting me in a line of fire if I cannot protect you if your character is not intact. Because I can't if like you said, pass, right? You got to pass.
Mm-hmm.
If we together and I take you on, I have to understand what comes with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if there's other things that happen throughout the time and I don't know about it, and somebody else, they got ammo over me at that time, I can't defend you.
Put you in a bad space.
It put me in a bad space. Courtship puts you in position to where you never in a bad space. Because everything is so intentional that y'all can't hide from each other even if y'all tried. And that's what makes courtship more difficult. You want to know what else happens in courtship? I didn't get the chance to talk about this on the Shade Room, but I should have brought this up. At the end of courtship, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work. It might not work. But you want to know the difference between dating and courtship in that area? Every person I ever dated, it's this weird thing that happens. No matter how long we was together, we just gotta forget about each other at the end of it.
That's the hard part.
It's like the Men in Black flash. It's just clear out my head. Now here's the thing about me. I really forget something. I look up if somebody else in a relationship for 2 years, you start asking me details, I ain't got nothing for you. But I understand how the lasting effect can happen in somebody else's life. So I take that into consideration. Courtship, you get to know somebody's character intentional from day one all the way throughout. That even if it ends, it never would end bad. Y'all just would be good friends. That's the dope part about courtship. So, but it's the most difficult thing to do because you're not going off of vibes. Everything is kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's laid out. It's laid out as time goes on. So it makes it a lot more difficult.
And it burns quicker.
So when y'all are courting a woman, are y'all having sex with her too?
Well, no, let me say this. Disclaimer. You're not supposed to.
Okay.
You're not supposed to. But that's also for me, and like I said, I can say this publicly because I tell this to people all the time. Even people I disciple. That's literally the stronghold for me. If I'm ever in a situation, that's why I'm so disciplined. If I ever was in a situation to where I laid down with a woman naked, ain't no Holy Spirit about to tell me don't hit it. I'm hitting it. Because if I got naked with you, that means I trusted you. I don't just lay down naked with anybody. Nobody could just touch me. I just don't have sex with anybody. But if it got to that point to where I'm laying down naked with you, it's going down. And then we could repent later and talk about it later. But the boundaries and parameters that I put up for that not to happen is so strong that it's just like, that's what it is. And that's why people trust my character, because these things are laid out. Because when it comes to other things, I could get over that. But lust, I say this all the time, like in the faith. Imagine this, bro. Imagine people had sex with people that only check 3-4 boxes, right? Imagine you got a woman that check all 10. That's gonna make it easier to not have sex or harder?
I think harder.
Harder.
Yeah.
So now what? now what? What happens after that? Because what's going to happen is people start figuring out you having sex. Now they question your character, your calling, all that stuff that come into play. But we got to be honest. This is why pastors fall. You want to know why they fall? Because they're not honest here. They like, you know what I mean? I like her. I had sex with her, and now we gonna keep it a secret. Just don't tell the first lady. Man, you got a lust problem. You had a lust problem since you were 7.
Yeah.
When do you actually address it and say, you know what? I know what that demon is on my back.
Yeah.
Let me set up boundaries, parameters until I'm delivered from it. Because God don't deliver you from everything instantaneously. He got to watch and see if you actually committed to it. So for some people that might judge, theirs might not be lust. Theirs might be manipulation. For others, it might be self-righteousness. For others, it might be, give me another sin, drinking. Gambling.
That's a big one.
Smoking. It might be something like that. Whatever it is. Like gambling. It might not be looked at as like the top 5 sins. All sins we all know is weighted the same. But let's say somebody is self-righteous and they be like, well, gambling not that bad. We did the health equity, John. I brought up the homeless dude that I met over there at the Love Park. His name is Creation. He worked on Black Wall Street. He was a multi-millionaire. Now he homeless. You want to know why? Gambling. He lost everything. His house, his cars, his wife, his kids, everything, because he didn't know how to stop spending money. That sound detrimental, just like lust. But if you allow people to tell the story, they'll start leaving out certain parts of that. We got to be able to look ourselves in the mirror and say, yo, what's my biggest struggle? And how do I put boundaries, parameters to this until God delivers me from it? how can I put myself in such a space of discipline where I'm not dealing with like I said, I could tell me and that's why me and him click the way we click. Me and him never said that to each other. Like, yo, I was thinking about my kids that I ain't never had. I just know him. I just know his character.
Mm-hmm.
I can't look around. When I look around my city, where we from, who else can I say that about? That's why I had to go connect with somebody outside of the city. Because I look around, I'm like, yo, bro, you would nail anything. You would know anything.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at my great-grandma's house around my cousins. Shout out to all my cousins. A lot of cousins, a lot of boy cousins. And my uncle walked in. And he was like, I know, like, it's like 12 of y'all sitting around here. I know 8 of y'all had STDs before. Like, he just randomly said it. And they was like, I started laughing. I started laughing, right? And I noticed that niggas wasn't laughing. Right? So I looked, and I kind of like, yeah, nah, I ain't gonna lie, I was burnt before, but everybody was. And they was like, yeah, no, I was too. And I'm like, nigga, I wasn't. That's the dangerous of dating. I remember a girl told me, the good thing I got discernment, it was this girl I was talking to. And she was pretty, really, really pretty. And I don't know why I asked her, but like and then we was only talking like 2 weeks. I told her like on the like that 14th day, I said, yo, you got STDs? That's what I asked her, like randomly. And who asks that? Me.
Yeah.
She snapped on me. She called me 5 o'clock in the morning the next day. I thought she butt dialed me. I answered the phone, she crying. Something I got to tell you. What's up? Last night you asked me that I have STDs and I didn't know how to say it. I got HIV and I have herpes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, double combo.
I said, oh, she's trying to cook me. Because prior to me asking that, the conversation was, when are you flying out here? This is what I'm talking about. So because she look and go, you're a man of God, I expect you to take this on or tell you later and we build some type of equity. And then like, to the point that you made on the pod a couple weeks ago when you was like, yo, sometimes, like when it comes to the serious stuff, sometimes you gotta let them know. You don't think you was gonna, why I had to ask you that?
Yeah.
If you try to cook me, you want to know what I said to her next? God bless you. You know what she said to me? So you just gonna leave? Yes.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. Has a man ever asked you before? Has a man ever asked you before? That's getting to know you and pursuing you. What are you willing to forgive?
No, nobody ever asked me that. But I learned not to tell a man too much and getting to know him. And maybe, I don't know if that's right or wrong. Y'all can tell me.
But oh no, okay, go.
I refrain now from telling guys like that whole, what do you look for in a man? Because what I learned is that when you tell a man what you desire in a man, he pretends to be that. And I got that. That's how I got hoodwinked a couple times. Because it's like you giving them exactly what they need. Oh, you want a man who's this, and that. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna go be this, and that long enough for you to believe that I'm actually that. Mm-hmm. And when you fall hard enough, you gonna learn I'm not none of that.
You ever see them dating cards?
Yeah.
That's the questions on there.
What?
What do you look for in a man? But the difference between the courtship questions is intentional, right? So if you came in there with intent and knew how, like, for instance, it's a weird question, but it's a great example. Guys be like, what's your body count? I don't, unless I'm chilling with friends and we're just having an open conversation, I'm never going to ask a girl body count. Mm. I'm looking for things in the conversation that you're saying. I'm looking at body language. I'm letting you know where I can tell a hoe from a mile away easily. If we're playing a game and a question is asked and she is snarkling, like, like she's so giddy and she's enjoying the context of this conversation so much.
What if she just knows something about somebody else?
Like, you could tell when why are you so happy about these questions? Like, it'd be the question be like, who's good at sucking dick? And she just sitting there.
Well, maybe she thinks she's good at it. What's wrong?
Right.
But maybe she just thinks she's good at it.
Hold on, let's work it back. Let's work it down. How did you become good at it? And what lets you know that you're good at it? So you enjoying it, and on top of that,
Some people could be naturals.
And on top of you enjoying it, you letting it be known to a whole group of strangers of men. That's, to me,
Oh yeah.
that's good enough.
Oh yeah, we out of here.
We got 10. There's 10 guys in the room. There's 10 girls in the room. We playing this game, and you're letting it be known. You can do things in silence. We could play this game and there be things in silence. There's things about me.
Then I might as well leave while y'all play this game, because if I can't play,
No, you could play and you could be open. But this is the thing. You should always be, and this is the thing. Like when Ant was saying how he is, right, and why we connect. You can be, and I think this is where people go wrong. You can be yourself, but you shouldn't always give all of yourself. Because you don't know who's in the room, what opportunities with you being yourself. Like, I'm blunt, but when I walk into a room full of new people, I'm not gonna just be all myself. I'm gonna dial it back, because I don't know if I'm gonna turn somebody off from an opportunity. They'd be like, I like his realness, but this job opportunity or this person, this thing I had in line is because he's way too much for what I thought it could be. Versus if they have a conversation with me, I can reel it in and be like, oh, I can be this in an example. I could be this. Mm-hmm. When you're too much of yourself, it's like the last pod we had where there a couple girls are like, oh, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be me. Well, you're going to isolate yourself. And what you're not understanding is no one in the world accepts you for you 100%. They got to get to know you and see that level of investment and be like, oh, I didn't know that, but that was pretty cool. Or like, I didn't see this coming from her and I can accept that. But this whole, I'm just going to be, nowhere in life do you get that. And you don't even go, the craziest thing is, you should, when you're going to get a job, I know you're out the job market, but when you were going for jobs, right? Mm-hmm. That person that showed up that day is how you should show up. It's crazy to me how everybody puts their best foot forward when they're going for a job opportunity and change their whole persona. Voice change, got their hair a different way, got made sure they're done up from head to toe. But when they're presenting themselves amongst their community, amongst friends, oh, now we can just be. No, you should that should be who you should carry yourself, and only Ant should know. Mm-hmm. Behind closed doors, how, oh, this is the real. Not everybody can get real, mm-hmm. and not everybody can get in.
I don't say, it's plenty of rooms we walked in where, like, unless we spoken to, we don't talk. And we could talk with the best of them, like, because it's with character comes also active listening, mm-hmm. and people. That's why we got 2 ears.
Yeah,
I could sit in a room and not say nothing. Or I might ask like certain questions, like he could pick up on it because we got the same like wavelength of how we think. Mm-hmm. I ask certain questions and then just watch how everybody react around the room, yeah. And then sometimes he'll call it out like, "Ant, set y'all up." Like, this is because I be needing to know who I'm around. Mm-hmm. Like I be needing to know, like, all right, I'm about to see something. I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna watch it for, you know what I mean? Being intentional about those things, but. Again, presenting yourself as somebody lady, you got to always remember, one, you're a reflection of them, mm-hmm. and respect should always be the number one thing there. So you just got to be careful about what you say, when you say it, how you say it.
Yeah, that's why if I was in a relationship, I wouldn't be sitting in a room full of single people playing no dating game.
Well, you could do it.
So really? I don't think that you should. If your person's not present.
Present or non-present,
I don't think that you should, because like you said,
you don't got single friends?
Why are you? Huh?
You wouldn't have single friends?
If I'm in a relationship, though,
you still got single friends?
I have single friends, yes, but I'm saying though, like, I probably wouldn't partake in that, because typically a dating game is to get to know the person you're dating.
No, it's different. It's different. No, well, not necessarily.
I have one.
Like Truth or Dare. Like, it might be something like that. It might be something like a game that y'all just playing. Maybe a girls' night. Y'all just playing.
Oh, see, but me, I'm a sore loser, so I don't care. I'm not answering that. But you got to. It's a dare. You got to.
And that's fine. That's part of character. That's good character.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because there's certain things. You know where this is good, like marketing, like you said, right? A real person, when you know the change of the real word, but mm-hmm. It's like they've made it to the point where they sell this thing as mm-hmm. a real person, not understanding you didn't sold everything to this person and they had to do nothing. Right. I done known Ant for the length of time that I know Ant. There's things I don't know about that man, and there's things I'm never gonna know, and there's things once we get to a certain stage in life, he'll let me know. He don't owe me his information. People feel as though they are owed information and just throw their information out, not understanding you can't get that back no matter what you do. When I send somebody something, you tell somebody something. I tell this to my kids all the time. You tell someone something one time, that is no longer your information. I don't ever want you sitting in my face talking about, I'm so mad so-and-so told everybody about. Once you felt it was in your nature to go tell this person about yourself, that information belongs to the world now. So if you told your best friend that you slept with so-and-so and this would never get out, you wanted it to get out. A part of you wanted it to get out because you told somebody else, and you cannot control that person. And you can't sit here and, well, I trusted her not to say anything. Why? She can't get drunk. She can't. You think that she not laying next to the person she love and not telling him? Because you do it. I know I've done it. So and so just got caught up. I'm telling my girl.
Especially pillow talking.
Yeah, right? Pillow talking's crazy. So, and now your girl go and she tell Big Mouth, the one that tell everybody everything. Girl, we had a girls' night. It slipped, babe. You told about Jerome? Yeah, everybody about to know about Jerome. Yeah. Jerome about to be calling me, bro. You're the only person I told. I told my lady. My lady got drunk, told her friend. Yeah. Big Mouth told everybody. So unless you don't want that information out, you hold that to you. And
I think that's the difference in between, again, the topic that we brought up earlier. Like the main topic is dating versus courting. And you also have to understand, like me being on the Shade Room, I understood it wasn't going to be received 100%. But I was also cool with, I appreciate y'all having me on this platform, and whatever ears hear differently. Whoever about to hear me is about to hear me. And if you look at the effects of your life, regardless of how it's coming across on my delivery or whatever the case may be, because some people operate in the spirit of offense. You got others that can look at the effects of their life and go, you know what? He right. He know what he's saying. So now, in closing, here's something that I would want y'all to do. As far as your younger selves, take yourself to your first date or the first time you locked in with somebody all the way up until now. What advice would you give yourself based on dating versus courting?
Oh, this is easy.
What would you say to your younger self as far as those things right there, if you had to give your younger self advice? We can start with Ralph.
This is easy. Don't date nobody. Don't date nobody until, I would say, the age of 25 to 27. I would say focus on building yourself, your endeavors, building up your hobbies, making sure you're financially stable, being the person that would attract the person that you want, right? Like, a lot of dating is convincing the person of who you are, letting your character speak for you. And what you're able to do. So if you're able to travel the world, they'll see that through your messaging, from your experiences, from your culture, the way you're talking. And then from your finances, they'll be able to see what you're able to do. And then from your life journey, they'll be able to see that you're associated with all these different things. So I would just say, focus on yourself. I think just a percentage out there, because I like stats. I think it's 96% or 97% of high school relationships don't work. So you spending this whole time in high school chasing this person while they're trying to figure themselves out, and they don't, regardless of how hard you work anyway, it's not going to last. So I would just say focus on yourself, build yourself up, and you will attract what is necessary coming your way from the things you've earned and garnered through life.
Okay, thank you. What would you tell yourself?
I'm thinking more so like, that age where I was coming into adulthood, 18 and early 20s. Because we have this idea that our 20s is to have fun. And that might be true because we're young, whatever. But be mindful of the type of fun that you're having. Because the things you do today are going to affect your life. And how you feel and what you think you want today, that's not always going to be the same. Yeah. You're going to mature. You're going to grow. You're going to learn. And you're going to learn very quickly that what you thought you once wanted was never what you wanted at all. So just be mindful and don't take this YOLO thing. You only live once, because you don't only live once. If you're a believer, you know that life is eternity. So, you got to be mindful of that and not be so careless. Because I know me, I was very careless. Like, we got time. You don't have that much time.
Me, man, courtship it has to be the norm. Courtship got to be the norm, like around here, because it's gonna build the necessary like movement that we need in order to sustain lasting relationships. I think that's the question that everybody is having an issue with. You can go out and get married tomorrow, but how do you sustain the actual relationship? Courtship. Because in courtship, you're building a friendship, and marriage then turns into a glorified friendship. Reason why dating don't work is because people skip over the friendship phase, and then once the romance and the emotion is out of it, you have nothing else to. That's where they disrespect. They start talking to you a little bit different. They start playing with you now. Why? Because the respect not there. You look like an enemy now. Why? Because we was never friends. So I think that's the thing that we should operate on. But yeah, close us out.
Well, that was a good one.
Go
Help me
ahead.
out here, y'all. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in to our friendly advice. We had some really good discussion concerning courtship and dating. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment below about what y'all thought today. Give us your 2 cents, your experience in being courted or dated. But there we have it. It's a wrap.
Peace.
Eesh.